Individual comes up to you and says, "Hey, boy, I'm free, bruh. We gonna freeze the boy stuff. Hey, boy, you got a job? I do not. You got someplace to stay? You live someplace? You working? I do not. I just got free. I just walked off the plantation. I'm getting ready to figure it out. You know what? There was a law that says you're a vagrant and you're going to jail. And so they could arrest that person, put them in the system, and then farm them out to farmers, or give them out, hand them out, lend them out, whatever you want to call it, and force them into labor. So literally, they put that exception in the clause so that there could be an out to continue to figure out a way to get free labor off black folks. And so even today, when you see black folks going to jail, or anybody going to jail, but I'm just talking about black people right now, and they working for 18 cents an hour. They working for, 38 cents an hour alongside people who are making 8, 9, 10, 12, 14, $18 an hour doing the exact same job. And these brothers end up being happy because they got a little piece of job so that they can buy stuff, to help take care of themselves, the canteen, postage, whatever. And it's like, bruh, you could have did the right thing out here in these streets and had a job at least paying you minimum wage. Now you in jail working for somebody for 38 cents, 19 cents an hour. But that's what that provision was put in the 13th Amendment for, to figure out a way to trip up black folks so that we could still pimp you and use you for free labor. That's what that's about. I got to take a quick break, but when I come back, just a couple of other quick things that's relevant specifically to February 1st. And we're going to keep the show rolling. Michelle Bryant, WNOV, 860 AM, 106.5 FM. Family, I'll be right back.
Say Something Real with your host, Michelle Bryant, on 860 WNOV.
All right, folks, welcome back to the show. So, a couple of things that I said historically I wanted to mention before the day is off and rolling. Two names, one being Charles Sumner. Charles Sumner was a lawyer, politician, statesman who represented the state of Massachusetts in the state Senate, in their United States Senate, I should say, U.S. Senate, from 1851 until he died in 1874. Before and during the Civil War, he was a leading American advocate for the abolition of slavery. And he is someone that actually brought forward a brother by the name of John Rock to be granted the first person, African American, to be able to argue a case in front of the United States Supreme Court. Okay. So this all happens in on February 1st. This happens in 1865 as well. But the name that most people may not be familiar with, the brother who actually was granted the ability to argue in front of the U.S. Supreme Court, very first Black person to be able to do so, his name is John Rock, John Stewart Rock. The thing about this brother, and I started thinking about State Representative Lakeisha Myers because I was laughing when I looked at everything under his name. John Rock. When people talk about the coldest to ever do it, this brother's name and photograph ought to be somewhere in the top 10 of the coldest to ever do it. A teacher, a doctor, a dentist, a lawyer, and an abolitionist. He was all of those things. He had degrees in all of those things. I'm going to say it again. He was a teacher, a doctor, a dentist, a lawyer, and an abolitionist. That is crazy. He is historically somebody who said the phrase is associated with him that Black is beautiful. Now, there's been some back and forth about when he said it, how did it come to be? But that is what they have attributed, that whole phrase, Black is beautiful, in 1865. Somewhere around that time frame. When we think about somebody saying Black is beautiful today, it feels like it was something that evolved out of the 60s and the 70s. When we began to come into our own, embrace the Afro, get our swag about being ourselves and not necessarily conforming, as the superintendent of the Texas school district where this young brother has been kept out of class since August because he won't cut his locks to, conform to what the district wants. And they basically released a statement that said that being a U.S. citizen required conformity. Yeah. So we think 50s, 60s when, what did I say? It was Sam Cooke, according to the documentary that we saw, that talked about Sam Cooke was one of the first brothers to get that relaxer, that perm out his head and just wear his afro when he performed. Smokey Robinson said other brothers saw it and was like, oh, I'm wearing one too. Oh, we could do that. It took one brother stepping forward to say, okay, that's enough of that. And that's enough of that. I'm wearing my own hair. And so John Rock, when you think about this brother, if he in fact is the person that says that Black is beautiful in the 1800s, when everybody is telling you it's the worst thing in the world you could be. This man was the first African American to actually earn a medical degree. He was the first Black person admitted to the bar. That's that whole piece about being able to argue in front of the United States Supreme Court. He was cold, y'all. So I want you to remember this brother as we look at a Ketanji Brown Jackson, or even trifling Clarence Thomas, but people that have made their mark and may not appreciate the foundation on which we stand, the work that was done to position us to be in a place to get access and opportunity. But the other part, and reason why I wanted to mention John Rock real quick, when you think about everything that was done to keep Black folks from getting an education legally in this country, everything that was done, this brother is a medical doctor, a lawyer, dentist, educator, How you pay for all of that? How did you study for all of that? When did you have time to do all of this? This dude was a boss. I can't get people out of high school. I can't get people to go to a tech school. I can't get folks to finish a 4-year degree in 4 years. Do you see what I'm saying here? People who had far less resources in a time when it was risky for them to get their education, when it was scary for them to get their education. And these people go on to not only, achieve, they exceed, they excel. Y'all, we cut from greatness, man. When we step into it and we realize, like, you was doing this in a time when people was hanging and lynching black folks because it was Wednesday. For no other reason. How dare you, uppity Negro, get 1 college degree, yet alone 4 or 5? Oh, you got to go. We still see modern day lynchings today in terms of you being too smart, you too uppity. How dare you think for yourself? Y'all have heard me do this rant before. But I want you to remember this brother's name, because there are names that come to our mind immediately when we talk Black history. John Rock is an individual whose name that we should remember right out the gate. Right out the gate, we should remember this brother's name as well. All right. And let me not forget the abolitionist piece, because when I say this brother fought for civil rights, he fought for us to have a seat at the table. He put his own life in jeopardy. He was out of Boston, Massachusetts. He put himself, in harm's way so that we could have opportunity. But Black is beautiful. Black is beautiful. Think about that. Let me go to the phone line real quick. Hey, caller, what's happening?
Ooh, you just sending chills up and down my back. Oh, go ahead, Miss Michelle.
Really?
What do you want to count?
You know intelligence. You know intelligence turn me on, especially when a black woman is talking. Oh, I'm just go ahead, Miss Michelle. And you beautiful black kids out there, y'all keep doing it, because I see y'all walk past my door every day going to school, smiling, and being in just full of life. Y'all the sugar honey iced tea from me. Y'all keep on doing what y'all doing. Keep living your life. Y'all gonna be the best. Y'all are the best, because y'all come from the best that didn't even make the rest. Go ahead, y'all. I love y'all little elbow highs.
Thank you, bro. Appreciate the call this morning. The thing that I have to do, and we're gonna leap to 2024, make the connection, caller. I'll be right there. But the reason why I think this was a great way to start is because, again, I'm tuning up for this little piece that MSNBC is going to do on Sunday, talking to black men about how they see the Biden administration, about how they see whether or not they're being heard and represented in any political party today, government wise. And I've tried to stress to people that this is bigger than me. It's bigger than one issue. It's bigger than a couple of issues. That when people are making decisions about who they're going to support, you got to understand, not just think about, you got to actually literally understand the totality of the decisions that you are making. There is a bill that had been introduced by Republicans that literally would eliminate funding for economically disadvantaged schools and students. The Title I money that are in schools, this is how a lot of K-12 education, in terms of roughly about $14 billion that's funneled to U.S. schools to help with children that are economically disadvantaged and to have the additional resources that they need. When you talk about, I'm going to go vote for Donald Trump, who therefore is connected and attached to and the leader of the Republican Party, and these people are saying, yeah, what your grandchild and your grandson and, My grandson Atlas is being exposed to in school by way of Title I funding. If you go to an economically disadvantaged school, we looking to come for that money. We want to get rid of that. We want to get rid of money in higher education that have helped young Black kids and children of color, first-time college students, economically challenged families. We want to make it harder for them to go to school. We want to make it harder for parents to be able to pay for them to be in school. So, while Snoop Dogg is cool because Trump helped his boy, the very kids that there's this video, this movie out where Snoop Dogg is like a coach for some, kids from the city, urban environments, and it mirrors his real life. He's done a lot to give back to his local community in terms of coaching, athletics. Those very kids that you out there doing that for are going to be harmed by many of the practices and policies that Republicans in the national level and locally are advancing, as well as Donald Trump. We got to have this conversation. I'm going to be reaching out to brothers who are politically involved, to be able to have these conversations. But let me go to the phone line right now. Hey, caller, what's happening?
Shalom, family.
What's up, bruh?
It's all good. All good. Happy Black History Month. And I really appreciate the story on Mr. Rock. Fascinating. 41 years and all of the accomplishments.
You pulled up how long he lived, huh?
Yeah. Yeah.
He got all that done in 41 years.
Hey, a dentist and a medical degree.
That's right.
Wow. It brought to mind what we hear about Imhotep and his multi-genius.
That's right.
Back, before antiquity. But again, I called yesterday because I wanted, you made reference to that issue about cutting down the statue of Jackie Robinson and all that goes with that. And then all that goes into how this brother was able to accomplish what he was able to do in that such a short lifetime, but during the period within which he lived. And again, it just makes me think about the fear that these people have of the competition, to prevent you. You talked about the black codes and having to put policies in place like that in order to, obstruct you from being able to live life. And yet and still, here we are, 2024, still moving forward, right? Still with, this same opportunity that our ancestors sacrificed for. But then it being squandered by so many, So the point you're making about keeping yourself out of jeopardy's way so that they can't put you in, that the snares don't capture you, right? And keep captivity captive. That's a phrase, that's a biblical phrase, that captivity captive. But we've been captives here. And when you allow yourself to fall into the traps of this society, it fits that phrase where they took captivity captive even after you were released, and you're still here in this society that wants to hold you down and keep you from accomplishing or achieving all you can. You allow yourself to be in a situation of jeopardy by your actions, by not taking time to think about what you're doing and planning it. There's some things that you have to take risk and sacrifice for. You talked about that before, but a lot of the foolishness is just that, but to put a code in place, and I'll go with this, to put a code in place that says that a person that's found to be unemployed and homeless is vagrant, and then putting them in prison and applying that whole, you're a slave now again, because you violated this law. It goes to show again that the fear of the competition and the protectionism that they could, lean towards and not even giving them a job or making jobs available, But this brother said, no, I'm going to overcome that, and I'm going to create my own for my own. And that's something that we still have yet to really capture the fullness of. It's how do we create our own, employ our own on the scale wherewith it is needed, so that we don't have to deal with the DEI issue. And I was hearing Reverend Sharpton talk about that this fund that these sisters had to provide economic development resources for Black women, right? And then they're being challenged in the court because they're supposedly discriminating, but yet and still, you don't want DEI in place to see diversity, equity, and inclusion across the spectrum, and you don't want people to be able to target their own resources to help them, scale up or open doors for opportunity. And there's sort of a oxymoron there, or some sort of conflict in that you want it both ways and don't want to have any avenues for people to really help or pull themselves up by their own bootstraps. That's ultimately where you end up when you try to cut both of those out of society, saying that this privilege only belongs to us. So I'll go with that, family. Y'all be well. And again, happy Black History Month. Let's learn some more about who we are.
All right. Thank you, bro.
And build on it. Peace.
Peace. And just so folks understand, so literally yesterday, and I have talked about this before on the show, there is a venture capital fund that was started by African-American women. They started this because it is hard for Black businesses, startups, small businesses, to get venture capital funding to be able to help them grow, expand, get their footing as a business. And so a group of Black women, seeing that there was discrimination in venture capitalist funding and investing, they said, we will help people that look like us. We will help ourselves. And that's what white folks claim they want all the time. Can you help yourself? Can you stop begging? Can you stop putting your hand out? So they said, we are creating a $20,000 grant program that is awarding funding to businesses run by Black women. Okay. We helping ourselves. We doing exactly what you asked us to do. The same group that came after affirmative action in higher education has come after this investment group. They were in court on yesterday asking a U.S. appeals court to allow them to continue to resume, because right now the program has been put on hold, asking them to continue to let them grant funding to businesses while this thing works its way through the court. A nearly hour-long hearing down in Atlanta, because the group is based out of Atlanta. Lawyers for the Fearless Fund, that's the name of the investment group. The Fearless Fund told the 11th U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals that it had a constitutional right to express its belief in the importance of Black women to the economy through charity. Fearless Fund attorney Jason Schwartz said that the right under the U.S. Constitution's First Amendment trump claims by Edward Blum's American Alliance for Equal Rights. Edward Blum is a dude who has financed and heavily gone after affirmative action in higher education, that the program's criteria violated, quote, a Civil War era law barring racial discrimination in contracting. And the thing that's so obscene about all of this is the law that Eric Blum and his group is using to challenge these women was a law that was put in place to protect Black people. Did you hear what I just said? The law that was put in place to protect Black people coming out of the Civil War is the law that this white dude is using to stop Black women from helping other Black women who are in business. When I tell you it is nothing short of frustrating, and we on that line of disgusting. You sit back and you like, so I just can't win. First, you paint me as a welfare queen, even though Ronald Reagan was lying, because the majority of people that were on welfare was white women. It was created for white women. It was not created for black women. But you give the whole world this image of me being a welfare queen. Then you want to call black folks lazy and shiftless, even though you needed to steal us to do the labor on your farms. But we lazy and shiftless. So you got all of these tropes out there about black folks and the unwillingness to work. And then you always begging and got your hand out and you on the taxpayer dole, the way Dan Bice tried to talk about Lena. Oh, you need the taxpayers to be able to have a 6-figure income. No, I don't. Because I got more education than you. I don't. I can hang out my own shingle and run my own shop. No, I don't need the taxpayers to take care of me. Truth be told, I've been taking care of the taxpayers, but I digress. So black folks decide to help black folks. And here's this white dude screaming and hollering, this is racist, but you're not dealing with the banks and the venture capitalists who will not even look at these businesses seriously, who have a practice of either lending or grant opportunities. You can see there's a bias, but you're not talking to them. You're talking to black folks. You're trying to harm black folks. You want to stop black folks from helping black folks. Just think about that. Because we live in this colorblind society where everything is fair and equal today. Many of the same challenges that we faced when Carter G. Woodson was thinking about Negro. And this is the other part. I thought about this too. I had the conversation about all these white folks running around now and ignorant Candace Owens talking about, I'm not sure if I can trust a black pilot. I'm not sure because of diversity, equity, inclusion efforts that them bringing in these brown and black pilots, it's safe to be in a plane. Charlie Kirk just came out and said the ugly part out loud. The reason Carter G. Woodson started Black History Month was to elevate the contributions and educate people who were so ignorant about the intellectual capabilities, contributions, academic prowess of black people. One of the reasons he created Negro History Week was to be able to spotlight, highlight, demonstrate what an impactful people we were in terms of contributions to this country. And here we are today in 2024, where people have resurfaced, dusted off, continued the whole conversation about whether or not black people intellectually are the equals of white folks. The NFL, which you Negroes love and can't let go, paying black athletes less money on an injury because you Negroes don't have the mental capacity to earn what a white man would earn. So even though you played the same position, you got the same injury, you had roughly the same type of career in the NFL, we've brought in some great thinkers that have created an algorithm for us that says that you Negroes are not as smart, and therefore we either have to pay you, we can pay you less money than we pay your white male counterpart, or we can pay you nothing. But y'all gonna be sitting in front of TV with y'all wings on Sunday, because it don't matter that they discriminate against us, Michelle. It doesn't matter, because the game is so important. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter that they push somebody out of the league who is raising concerns about the safety of black people. Colin Kaepernick didn't have to say nothing. And when the heat got turned on, he could have easily shut his mouth. He stood up for people that ain't even willing to stand up for him. But the game is so important. Black coaches can't hardly get hired, but the game is so important. We're just now getting to a renaissance in the NFL when we can actually get multiple black quarterbacks because we weren't smart enough to be the QB. But the game is so important. We're going to let y'all shake y'all behind. Watch yourself at the halftime show. Y'all can dance and do a jigaboo. I'm just saying, at some point, we going to have to play this game like it's life and death, because it is. We're going to have to respond as people that understand that there are folks trying to return us to a time when we had few, if any, rights, when we were not valued in the workplace, when we could pay you inequitably, and so what? When you could not own a home, we made it difficult for you to own a home. We raped you on mortgage rates and charges. We overcharged you for insurance because you live in 53206. Everything we can do to add a surcharge. You pay extra because you poor and economically disadvantaged, and then we're gonna cut out all of the educational programs that's meant to give you a leg up, that's meant to level the playing field. But this is the people that some brothers and some sisters is saying, this is who I want to get behind. I want to get behind the people that want to get rid of a lot of funding in public education that's intended to help black and brown children. I want to get behind that party. I want to get behind the folks who have looked around and said that Title I funding can be cut. Title II funding can be cut. Help in higher education to make sure that we can afford to send these kids to school can be cut. $69 billion in domestic cuts to programs. Programs like home weatherization that so many people utilize. I remember when Donald Trump came into office and he had talked about the budget that he wanted to do. And this man literally said, I want to get rid of CDBG money. That's the community development block grants. I want to get rid of low income home energy assistance programs. We don't need the National Endowment for the Arts. We can cut that out. We can get rid of public broadcasting. We don't need to do that. Let somebody else do that. Like literally, you are standing here going, what is wrong with you people? The Federal Supplemental Educational Opportunity Grants. Financial aid program that would have that gives students up to $4,000 a year to college students based on financial need. When Donald Trump was getting ready to come into office and doing his budget, he was like, we don't need to do that. We don't need to do that. Yeah, I came from a family that was independently wealthy off of illegal moonshine, pimping women, and discriminatory housing practices. But my kid didn't need help from the federal government to go to college. I just wrote a check. Why can't y'all do the same thing? It's bigger than you help my boy get a pardon. It's bigger than that, y'all. It's bigger than it's a few brothers that's allowed to play the game on Sunday. It's bigger than that. Until we understand the full ramifications of what we are doing, we're going to watch the gains erode every year. They have all but gutted everything we did around the Voting Rights Act. But this is who some black folks is saying, I'm seriously considering riding with these people. And then, what the Democrats ain't doing nothing. But the thing I always say, you ain't either. Ooh, think about that. The Democrats ain't doing nothing. You're not either. You're not in the party. You're not a part of nothing. You don't go to no meetings. You ain't got 5 hours on it. You ain't helping keep people employed to do the work. You ain't doing nothing either. So I'm mad and talking about what somebody else ain't doing, but you ain't doing. You just want it done for you. Do you understand the inherent problem with that? Does any of that make sense at all? They this, they that, they this. At least I'm in the room. At least there are a handful of us that's in the room, and I do mean a handful that's in the room, that's arguing the points, that's raising the issues, that's saying, wait a minute, I need you to look at it from this perspective, or I need to help you understand X, Y, and Z. But you complaining and you hating on, and you gonna throw away something that you don't have no part of, other than that's the way you vote. Today in history, 700 folks got arrested in a march down in Selma. Today, 700 folks. I can't get 700 folks to come to the state capitol to talk about, Black history education or funding cuts that hurt, Black people, critical race theory, dismantling of diversity, equity, inclusion. I can't get 700 people to come to the Capitol to have that conversation. If I don't provide you with a bus ride, you're not coming at all. Do you understand what I'm saying? Do you understand what I'm saying? Let me go to the phone line. Hey, caller, what's happening?
Good morning.
Good morning.
Okay, yeah, I hear you about, people, ain't paying attention or vote or not a part of stuff. It's too many gatekeepers. Ain't nobody telling nobody how to get involved in being a Democrat. That it's actually something they can do to be a part so they can be in that room.
Ain't nobody stopping you from getting the information either. It's a simple Google search. It is a simple Google search. Democratic Party of Wisconsin. There's the phone number. Pick up a phone. Call somebody. When is the meeting?
Using computers.
When is the meeting? Come on now. If I tell y'all it's a free $1 million out here, people will figure out how to find where the free $1 million is. Stop it, man.
No, because that ain't true.
Come on, bro. You find out what you want to know.
On paper.
You find out what you want to know. The Democratic Party is sitting down at Juneteenth every June 19th. The Democratic Party tables at events in this community all the time.
And why don't people go down there?
The Democratic Party has had offices in this community.
The nonsense that goes
but again, and thank you for the call back. I gotta go. But people find out what they want to find out. They do. I'm sorry. It's true.
Michelle.
And it's the thing. I've been on this radio station for like 7-8 years. Anybody that really wanted to know, it's a phone call to me.
I was finna say, Michelle, how do we get involved in the Democratic Party?
You know what?
Don't you have a card? Don't you go to the meetings?
I do have a card.
Yeah, I mean a real card.
A real
you don't
card.
Vote Democrat. You are a card carrier member.
Exactly, like of the NAACP, of which a whole bunch of people talk about. They don't do this, they don't do that, but you don't even support the NAACP. Because the NAACP does not run off of air. They need money to be able to do the work. They need talented people at the table to be able to do the work, because these is all volunteers. So yeah, I can't ride with. Did nobody tell us where to go? We ain't been given no information. I'm just saying, that's what it sounds like. Y'all ain't trying to help us. Help yourself, man. I gotta take a break. I'll be right back.
Milwaukee. Now, back to Say Something Real with your host, Michelle Bryant on WNOV.
All right, folks, welcome back to the show. We are kicking off the first day of Black History Month, and I am pleased that we are being joined in studio by a guest. Before I do that, though, I want to make sure I make this announcement because I don't need no problems with Dr. Dr. Williams. Dr. Virginia Williams is like, Michelle, you better get that announcement made this morning. A portrait ceremony honoring the late Dr. Wallace M. Cheatham will be held this Saturday, February 3rd at 11 o'clock a.m. at the Milwaukee County Historical Society. That's over at 901 MLK Drive. The ceremony begins at 11 a.m. People will understand, and Dr. Cheatham actually has been in the studio before his passing. The director of the community choirs, he directed 3, the children, youth, and adult choir. The new Jubilee Adult Choir is actually going to perform on Saturday at this event, but there is a wonderful honor that's being given to Dr. Cheatham. And so Dr. Williams wanted to make sure that the community knew they were invited to come participate. I'm going to do my best to swing by there because I went to his funeral. I tell people real quickly, I went to Dr. Cheatham's funeral and I went only to take the citation. And it wasn't even a funeral. It was like I think it was just a celebration of his life. And so I was only going to take the citation because I was supposed to go somewhere else. But it was personal. I was going to go meet some friends, dinner, that whole thing. And so I said, I'm just going to drop off the citation. But you don't want to be disrespectful. So you sit for a second and then you dash out. When I tell you the singing was so good, the service was so good, I was like, I'm staying for the whole thing. So yes, ma'am, Dr. Williams, thank you for sharing that information. So I said I had a guest in the studio, Mr. Claiborne Benson, in fact, is this brother that is sitting across from me. What's the title? Is it president or
founder,
executive director of the Wisconsin?
36 years now.
Wow, has it been that long?
36 years. It's been
Man, look at that skin, looking all good over here. Not a wrinkle,
Yeah,
looking all good.
I assure you, it's my second life.
Look, somebody they say black don't crack.
I'll show you.
This other lady, she said no, good black don't crack.
Well, so, I'm feeling it in my bones. Please,
really?
It is a lot.
You can tell the weather by your bones. Mr. Claiborne Benson
not what it used to be.
Is in the studio. There is no way we think about Black history, Black folks, achievements, what our life has been like in this city and this state, and not think about you and the work that you've done.
Thank you.
At the Wisconsin Historic. I mean, I'm sorry, the
Wisconsin Black Historic Society. Yes, very much so.
With that, and I think about you. So first of all, you talked about 36 years.
Yes.
Now have you been doing the museum that long?
Yes, I have been doing. I was a news cameraman with WTMJ Television for 39 years, and in part of that, I just simply decided to step over into his because I saw my period ending at the TV station, and I wanted to continue serving the community.
But why in this way?
I served them as a cameraman too. Now,
yeah,
I mean, I was always in trouble advocating for our people.
Okay,
but doing documentaries, showing stories about the disadvantage, and showing that we have a voice through that medium because people put me there as a news cameraman. So that was important to me.
So just real quick, because I don't know that I've ever gotten the backstory on you. Are you from Milwaukee? Are you a native?
I was raised in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, originally from Washington, D.C., but
really?
I came to Milwaukee as a young kid.
You never hear anybody say I was originally from Washington, D.C.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, and so I moved here. We came here by way Chicago on an open trailer on the expressway all night long. So it was a long journey, but we were poor. I was on welfare, and I don't know what to tell you. 20th Street is the school I went to. And my real savior was a mentor by the name of Everett Moore and Hank Moore. I got a job in their barbershop, and there I got some experience with family.
Is that the Moores that we just talked about? Not Handsome Barbershop Moore.
Yeah. This is
that's great. We just talked because his funeral was last
No,
2 weeks ago?
this is not the same Moore then, because
Okay.
they've been gone for some time
They
now.
said he was Booby's brother who had.
That's right, Henry
Yeah.
Moore.
Yeah.
Henry
so
Moore.
this was one of the Moore brothers
Yeah.
that just passed a couple of weeks ago. And they were talking because I don't know how many it was, but I
It was
know
3 of them.
three.
Yeah.
Okay.
3, Gene, Hank, and Booby. Booby's place was run by their
Yeah.
Uncle
502.
Bubba. Yeah, 502. Yeah. That was all one family. And on any given day, you would see football players and basketball, Hank Aaron and all of the celebrities and business people would be in the barbershop. But they sat in my chair as I shine their shoes. They said, "What you gonna do, boy? What you gonna be?" Because we expect great things
So
out of you.
you were shining shoes.
I
at
was
the
shining shoes and then later cut hair. Illegally, yeah. Hank was the chairman of the state barber commission, and the barber police would stop by the barbershop from time to time. We did all of the things in which barbershops do.
And so they pressed you. What you gonna do?
Man, it was in my stuff on a regular basis. I'm not saying that I accomplished all of that, but I set out to make a difference.
So then, how do you end up in photography? How did wait?
So Handsome was a son of one of the 3.
Oh, okay. That's the connection.
Yeah.
That the guy who owned Handsome Barbershop was the
one
son of one of those 3
He was
brothers.
Booby's nephew.
Okay, got it.
No, I don't think so.
Oh.
No. So we had a barbershop we had 3 barbershops, one on 12th Street, one on Titonia and North Avenue, Moore's Barbershop, and then one on 1814 Atkinson.
Right.
And that was the last barbershop right up the street here.
Okay.
And that's and we had 3 in Racine. Hank, Henry Moore K, their father, had a barbershop down there.
In Racine.
And so in Racine, yeah.
Okay.
And I would go down there every Saturday morning and cut hair and shine shoes and do what I needed to do down there. So it was a good experience for me.
All right. So I guess I'm just, like I said, just curious because, when you talk about mentorship, they press you. We need you to go do something.
That's right.
How does it become
did.
camera and photography and working?
Well, I love photography, and they supported me in everything that I did. I shined shoes, but then I wanted to be an artist, and that's when I first started out there. And they admired and loved every piece of art I did. It was horrible, but nonetheless, they gave me grace. When I said I wanted to be a photographer, they got camera equipment for me to begin to take pictures.
Are you serious?
Yes, they did. When I ran track and won. In the newspaper, and every person who came into the barbershop knew that I was in the newspaper. They picked me up, the spirit of this young man who didn't know anything and didn't understand who he was. It's them who gave life to me. And so I have to be present. You asked me, why do I do what I do?
It feels like a full circle moment because you do that for so many of us. You keep us grounded.
Yeah.
You remind us of our greatness.
Yeah.
You have expectations for us.
That's right.
Like the looks that you can give people, you don't have to say a word, Clayboy. People understand, like, you messing up, you doing well, you need to.
I want to celebrate those people who've gone before us, who've made great and made major contributions, like Miss Bernice Lindsay, like Miss Juanita Adams. Miss Bernice Lindsay takes a delegation of people to the Congo to meet the president of Congo, who's invited by President Kennedy to the White House to talk about issues related to African American women.
Okay, so like I don't know any of these names.
And when the city refuses to build houses or public housing, she builds a housing complex down on 4th Street. It's called the Booker T. Washington housing.
In Milwaukee?
In Milwaukee, yes. It's there right this minute.
Wait a minute.
It's Miss Bernice Lindsay who recognized.
Like Lindsay Heights?
Yes, that's named in her honor.
In her honor?
Yes, it is.
But her name was Bernice Lindsay.
Bernice Lindsay. And when World War II veterans come home from World War II, she has purchased a lot of land by 47th and Hampton, just north of Hampton, 1 block, a subdivision of land so that these World War II veterans can build their own homes. Yes.
Who is this black woman? I do not know this woman.
And much, much more.
Oh my God.
She was one of the people. She organized the Bronzeville mayor and the whole process of going through the mayor on Walnut Street in the beginning period. Miss Lindsay started, or was one of the people who started the Inner City Arts Council, and her efforts to create the Creative Center right down the street here. There was a theater there, and although she sold her home, the newspaper runs, Miss Bernice Lindsay dies with only $35 in her bank account.
No.
She sold her property to build and renovate an old theater called the Creative Center for Black kids. She did so much.
But they try to write the story like she was destitute.
She was poor.
Okay.
Simply because she
was giving
devoted
it
all
away,
her money
to
to
the
our
community.
people.
Okay, so then let me do this because I only got you for a few minutes.
Yes, I'm sorry.
But I hope people get a sense and a flavor of what you bring by way of.
Oh, I'm not important.
Yeah, come on
No, I'm
now.
not.
Well, I'll say it. You ain't got to say
Miss
it.
Bernice Lindsay is important.
But if you're not here to tell these stories.
Well, God's blessed me with those ability to retain this information so I can tell the story.
Okay.
That is the key there.
So we can be educated at any time of the year, but particularly this month, you have a lot of programming that's going on.
That's right.
So first week, as we start talking about Black History Month, what's going on? Because hopefully that was a sample of what people understand.
Yeah.
The history that we don't. In my case, I just don't know.
Okay.
But tell us what you got going
So
on.
we have activity for kids. We want our kids to begin to process this information and understand the greatness that our people bring to this table. So we have a kids activities, and we're going to have artwork for them so they can enjoy themselves. We have dance class for them, storytelling with a history perspective, exhibits that we're going to be sharing with them. And if I am invited back, the kids will experience a new exhibit that we have called Black Cross Nurses.
I
Black
talked about
Cross Nurses.
I saw
very,
that
very
in the paper.
important.
I was blown. I had no idea.
Yes.
And the community jumped right in. A lot of people knew or were reminded.
Right.
And so now when does this happen? Is it one
that's
day?
That's on February the 3rd.
So that's this
That's
Saturday.
the Saturday coming up.
So what time does that happen?
That starts at 11 o'clock. And they'll
runs
be dancing
into-
and runs to 1 o'clock.
So from
It's-
11 to 1,
Yes, 10
people
o'clock.
can bring the kids.
Mhm.
Is there an age range on this?
No, there is no age range.
Okay. And so activities, this is a free event?
Right. No, it's $10
$10 per person.
Yes.
Okay, but there will
$10
be
per
all
person.
these activities for children to do.
That's right.
Okay. Then what
lots
else
of
we have?
activities for kids.
Okay.
We are taking a group of people. We in August of last year, we took a group of people to the Milton House in Rock County. We're going to take another group of people. We're collaborating with the group out of Madison, and February the 16th, we're going to be taking. This is a Friday. We're going to be taking.
What's so significant about the Milton House for people that don't know?
It's the Underground Railroad, and it's one of the many Underground Railroad locations, but it has a tunnel under it showing actually how African Americans moved from one building to the next building.
So
it was
wait.
against the law.
A lot of people don't even think about the Underground Railroad running through Wisconsin.
It does, very
But
much so. And it's white people who actually manipulate that and control that. As they make their way up the river, along the side of the river, they come to Wisconsin. And in this case, they come in the back of a stagecoach and they stop because this is a stagecoach hotel, and people are actually enter into the building, hide out in the basement. And when the law comes or some authority, they make their way through this tunnel to another building.
So what day is this happening? On a Friday?
This is going to take place on a Friday, February the 16th.
Oh, I might be able to go. I don't have to do the radio on Friday. So this, February 16th. Now that comes with a cost, I'm assuming.
This does come with a cost. And I'm saying we're collaborating with a group out of Madison to do this. So it is and last time we took a bus from Milwaukee, we're going to be going to Madison and taking a bus from Madison with another group that actually goes to the Milton House.
Okay.
So if people are interested in that, they need to call me because I do plan to be part of that and to educate people about the importance of the Underground Railroad and the impact that has on it. When we talk about Black history, we clearly ought to be talking about white people too, because that clearly is the white people's activities in bringing African Americans to.
I'll tell you what, let me do one thing. Let me take a quick break, and then we will also continue.
Okay.
And then there was a question that came through that said, ask Claiborne if he has any copies of the Milwaukee Blade newspaper. So
I do have one or two, yes.
okay. Because somebody said I'd like to see them if he does. Okay. All right. So let me take a quick break so we can come back and continue this conversation. Michelle Bryant, WNOV 860 AM 106.5 FM. Be right back. What up? That's all we got.
Hello, Milwaukee. This is Mr. Debo, your host of Pillow Talk. If you listen to the show, you know I'm always suggesting things you should do with your significant partner. Well, I want to take it to the next level. You could win the WNOV Valentine Sweetheart Giveaway. Be the 8th caller whenever you hear. Lay your head on my pillow. You'll be listening for your chance to enter the grand prize giveaway. 2 tickets to Mr. C.L. Woodson III's play, Them Golden Girls Saved But Not Yet Sanctified. 2 tickets to the Dance Theater of Harlem. A $200 American Express gift card. A $100 gift card to the Red Crab Seafood Restaurant. A Valentine's flower bouquet from Carter's Creations. And a box of chocolates. So stay tuned for your chance to enter the Valentine's Sweetheart Giveaway. Just be the 8th caller whenever you hear. Lay your head on my pillow. The winner will be announced inside Pillow Talk on Monday, February 12th at 8 p.m. Keep listening for your chance to qualify. The electrifying and magnetizing show Black Violin is coming to the Marcus Performing Arts Center for one night only. Join us for a performance that showcases the 2-time Grammy-nominated duo Kev Marcus and Will Baptiste. Now, back to Say Something Real with your host, Michelle Bryant, on 860 WNOV.
All right, folks, welcome back to the show. And we are thrilled as we kick off the beginning of Black History Month to have none other than like the resident, all things Black folks, Mr. Claiborne Benson in the studio, Wisconsin Black Historical Society. We're wrapping up our conversation. I tell people the piece that happens during the break is always some of the best information. Claiborne dropped, and I've been joined in the studio also by none other than Milwaukee County Executive. What's your name, bro? Say my name. Say my name.
I'm at home, so DC. It's DC in here. David Crowley.
David Crowley's in the studio. We're gonna have a conversation for a bit this morning as well. But DC and I were sitting here looking astonished because as we talked about Carter G. Woodson, the founder of Negro History Week, Claiborne dropped a little jewel in the studio. Tell the people what you told us.
Carter G. Woodson visited Milwaukee as he's planning a chapter in Wisconsin as it relates to Negro History Week.
So while he is creating Negro History Week and doing all that foundational work, he comes to Milwaukee. And sets up a chapter.
He comes to Milwaukee and sets up a chapter because there were people interested in African American history, and so the governor of Wisconsin at that period of time is celebrating Juneteenth Day, and
at that time,
yes, he celebrates Juneteenth Day, the 50th anniversary of Juneteenth Day, by putting together a group of elite African American men and attorneys, and they put together an exhibit to go down to Chicago for this exhibit.
Oh my God, you are kidding!
I'm telling you the truth.
Okay, I'm like,
so what they do is that they go down there and they show all of the work that African Americans do and encourage white businessmen, industrial growth, to come and have businesses in Wisconsin, and so yes. And so we have good Black people here, and they can do your work. And they have this big exhibit that is down. And I have a big old pamphlet for it. I'd love to share it with you.
You know what? So one thing I would just tell the community, you have been so gracious to agree to come in every Thursday during this month.
Right.
So we can have these conversations and educate the community. Mm-hmm. And yes, I'm going to need to see the pamphlet.
You can. You can. No problem.
I'm going to need to see the pamphlet. But there are a couple other things we'll make sure we hit before.
I want to finish before.
Yes, sir.
And so then February the 10th, we're having history lessons. John Girdle will begin to talk about Milwaukee's African American communities. He'll be in. Claiborne Benson will talk about voting and the
is that
and
you?
The 1849 referendum vote and what that impact on us today. And then a woman by the name of Mary Elise Atone will be coming to talk about enslavement in Wisconsin, slavery, and she profiles 5 African American women. And their enslavement experience in the state of Wisconsin.
What?
Yes, there was slavery in Wisconsin.
Okay. So
there was slavery in Wisconsin.
I'm familiar that, like, if people, depending on how you came to the state, if you were attached to somebody that came from a slaveholding state, so I can't wait to hear this because I've not heard this story at all.
Yes, there is slavery. There was slavery in Wisconsin, very much so. Let me assure you that. And how it was and all of that. I'd be happy to share it with you.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And then Judge Mosley is having at the Lubar Center is having an African American tasting dinner, and we're co-sponsoring that with him, and so that I'm going to be a guest there February the 18th.
I saw that. I saw he was posting while he was out at different places doing the food sampling for the event.
I will be there and talking about Wisconsin's African American history.
So I tell you what, if you leave some information with me, I'll make sure that I am talking about everything that is going on. Yes. And then again, folks, understand that we will have Mr. Benson in the entire month. We are very fortunate in that regard. Every Thursday morning. Looking forward to these conversations. Key, you want to say something?
Yeah, there was a listener that called in, was wondering how they can donate to any of the trips.
Online, or just give us a call or at the Wisconsin Black Historic Society.
Do you still do the memberships?
Yeah, we do still do membership. Okay. Telephone number is 414-372-7677. We do need your support, please. We need volunteers as well. Thank you.
Oh, really? You need volunteers?
Yeah, we do need volunteers.
Oh, like what would a volunteer do?
Well, we have volunteers now digitizing pictures. We get hundreds and hundreds of pictures.
Really?
Yes. We're going to have a book fair early March, and we need people to help monitor the books that we're
Okay.
going to be selling, or $1 a book. But we
What?
get thousands of books coming into the museum, and we've got to move them on. We want people to read. We want people to write their stories. This exhibit, Black Cross Nurses, is given to us by a woman who wrote her story. We didn't know what was happening in the 1920s in Milwaukee.
Right.
This woman writes her story, passes it down through her daughter and granddaughter, and we're able to look at a picture of what life was like in Milwaukee. Black Cross Nurses is a fantastic story.
I got excited when
Black
I read
women
that.
stood up and
Yes.
say, even when Marcus Garvey said, y'all working too hard, y'all overshining us, they said, we're going to do this anyway. We're going to do this because we're doing something for our people.
And they were around the country, which I didn't know.
Everywhere in the United
Claiborne,
States.
somebody said, repeat the number. They wasn't ready.
414-372-7677.
Say it again.
414-372-7677.
Did you want to say something, executive?
Give them the website.
Yeah.
Where I was at, hey, what's
Give
the
them the
website?
WBHSM, Wisconsin Black Historical Society. WBHSM.org.
Okay.
.org.
And I'm gonna just tell you, it's funny sitting here because for the purposes of the interview, I have called you Claiborne. But what I say is one of the most uncomfortable things to do. When you just understand you got an elder in the room. Don't look like an elder though. Got that fabulous skin sitting over there.
Got that drive. Got that drive. That's what because I'm excited about what I do.
Yes, sir.
I love it.
Yes, sir. I mean, you looking a little dapper over there. So, but I just want to tell you how much I appreciate Claiborne Benson and the work that is done with the Wisconsin Black Historical Society. I'm going to take a quick break, and then he's in the studio, not just because he wanted to hang out.
It is because I wanted to hang out.
But
I got too much time, but I still want to hang out.
But we need to have, and it just is so important. We got to have a quick conversation because as we are preparing for 2024 elections, people are beginning to make decisions early. They're looking for information to inform, how they view things. And for somebody that's involved in local government who gets to see the work of, all of it, of Congress, of the current administration, how we're impacted, particularly as Black people,
Yes.
it was just imperative to have this quick conversation.
Yes.
So we will take a break and we'll be right back with the Milwaukee County Executive, none other than Mr. David Crawley. All right, y'all. Welcome back to the studio. I am sitting here with none other than Mr. Smell Good himself. What up, DC? What'd you say, King?
Hey, I should have kept the other shirt on because I got somewhere to be later.
You could have got the good. You could have got the good cologne on you.
He was on with Quad. I went right out after the show. Hey, baby, what you got on?
Did you say, hey, baby?
I said, she said, what you got on? I said, dirty.
What'd you say? Just dap me up, bro. Lean in. You know, I don't mind if you lean in and you got some good stuff on. Bros be leaning in with that brute Fabergé on. You too young, Carvey. Carvey, you know what brute Fabergé is? Carvey, like, what is that? But yeah, bros be leaving in with that generic on. Like, that's not real. Okay, county executive.
How you doing,
sir? How you doing today, bro?
I'm good. I'm good. Happy Carter G. Woodson Day to everybody.
You know what I said? I know it's a Carter G. Woodson Day.
There isn't, but this is. He started the week. This is his month, and I think that we should the first day of Black History Month. We recognize him.
You know what? We need to make that official.
Yeah, I think so.
You know what? We'll work on that. Lakeisha, I know you listening. Please get busy. It's so nice to be able to pass stuff off to people because I don't have a legislator, so I can't help you.
But we know you working.
Look, and that's what I was saying. You know, because you was like, "What you doing now? Running the office?
Yeah.
Still answering constituent calls and trying to figure out how I'm gonna eat next week." But anyway, it's okay. I talked to Lena. Right. I said, "Oh, you got a job and you left me without a job." Okay, I see. Real friend. That's what friends are for. But.
And congratulations, Judge Lena Taylor, by the way. Just making sure. I made sure to call her that morning when I seen that article, you know, and honestly, this is something that I truly believe that our former senator absolutely has deserved. I mean, when you think about the work that she has done in the legislature in this community, it is important that we are lifting up not just our Black community, but our Black women particularly. And so to see her elevated to this position, and I actually, it's funny because I'm gonna get to work with her even more, you know, like I was in the state legislature, since she's going to be in the courthouse. And to be honest with you, I'm actually looking forward to it. And so congratulations, sister.
I'm glad you said that because, you know, we're going to be paying attention because some of the judges down there is already, you know, people that I was concerned about when she left to go because, you know, it was people that didn't want her to come, you know. I don't know what's up with some of these people and their elitist attitudes and they try to decide who belongs, who doesn't belong. When people have raised concerns about, you know, oh, is she qualified? Should she be here? Y'all got judges down there that have been out of law school for 5 years.
That's right.
Didn't nobody have nothing to say.
That's right.
You know, so I mean, it's that kind of stuff. And you just wonder, like, why must it continuously be a fight to just be? I'm trying to do the work. That's the only reason I'm showing up. And, you know, so I am glad to know that there are people that are receptive to the appointment, you know, that she'll be able to get that work done. And, you know, Lena, she don't need no whole squad. She
don't, but she knows she got a team behind her.
There you go. I told her, I said, boo, I ain't never but a phone call away. Don't make me go to clerk school, whatever I got to do.
You know, what's interesting. And so on the way here, you know, I was listening in, had a chance to hear Mr. Claiborne getting here, and it gave me some time to reflect. And so even when we're talking about, you know, the fact that people want to be gatekeepers to many of these seats, you know, and then I think about today is the first day of Black History Month. It gave me some time to reflect. And, you know, when you think about it, I mean, Milwaukee County, our mission is that by achieving racial equity, we can become the healthiest county in the state. We're still talking about racial equity to this day. We're still fighting for our freedoms to this day. We're still fighting for our civil rights to this day. And so one of the reasons why I came is because I wanted to have the conversation to talk about the importance of these upcoming elections, and not just my election this upcoming spring, the mayor's and all of our local elections, but also the November election that's coming up. You know, when we think about the presidential election with President Biden and Vice President Harris, as well as our statewide elections going on, making sure that we can send Senator Tammy Baldwin back to the the federal government, to the Senate, as well as Congresswoman Gwen Moore. And I think it's extremely important that this month that we not only honor and recognize those giants who paved the way and who stood before us to make sure that a person like me can be in this seat, but more importantly, that the fight has not stopped.
You know, I'm thrilled that that's the focus of the conversation. And like I said, we only got you for a brief amount of time this morning, and so we'll definitely be doing this more as we, work our way towards both the spring and the fall elections. But there's a special, I've been talking about it, that's coming on MSNBC this Sunday.
Okay.
And it's focusing on Black men. And, brothers, 16% of brothers voted for Donald Trump in the 2016 election?
Yeah,
with Hillary Clinton. 20% of brothers voted. 16% of brothers voted for Donald Trump in 2016, whatever it was. And then so they've been talking about brothers feeling affected, not heard, not valued, that there has been little movement for them, no matter which party has been in control. And it got me to thinking, because I'm close to politics, and I follow all of the information. We actually do a weekly call with the White House, which is something that had not been done in previous administrations, where they have like a division of Black affairs, basically, and you're getting updates in real time about what's happening.
Okay.
But as somebody that's a policymaker and managing an entire county, you get to see work from a different angle.
Yes.
And you're in conversations that we only could wish we could be in, in terms of direct contact with the administration and things that are going on. So as you look around, when we talk about, and for folks that are concerned, how are Black people faring under this administration in general? What are some of the things that you would say to our community that we should understand?
That's a great question, right? Because even when you think about President Trump, and I think you were alluding to it earlier on my way down here about like Snoop Dogg, right?
Right.
He helped out my boy, right? But you look at the bigger picture of things, it's like, but he's putting us down, right? And so I think that let me just backtrack. One, as Black men, we got to step up and get involved. Let me just put that out there. And the reason why I say it that way is, and I look in the state legislature, I think we have more Black women that are elected than we do Black men. And that's nothing against the Black women who have been fighting and doing everything that we need, but it lets me know that we need to step up. And I think you had a caller that talked about, well, I don't know anything about the Democratic Party. The Democratic Party has never reached out to me. And I think that at the end of the day, we have to, understand that we have to meet halfway.
Right.
We can't expect everybody to come directly to us and give us everything that we want. Even if you're a believer in God like myself, you can't expect God to do everything without meeting God halfway. And so I think that we also have to look at voting that in that same light. But when I take into account what this administration has done for Black people, right, there's been a tremendous amount of investments, particularly here in Milwaukee County area. And so let's talk about the pandemic alone. Milwaukee County, we received ARPA dollars, we received eviction prevention dollars. We were able to help out businesses during the pandemic because of ARPA. And the dollars that we helped with the small businesses with, 2/3 of these dollars went to help out minority-owned and women-owned businesses, and primarily Black-owned and women-owned businesses. And you can actually look up that data, and I'll make sure to get that to you, Michelle, if we haven't done that yet. When we talk about affordable housing, the dollars that the Social Development Commission, the dollars that the community advocates were allocating to people to make sure that they can stay within their homes, make sure that there were dollars for Milwaukee County to invest in affordable housing. These are dollars that we work directly with the White House administration with to bring back to our community. And so we can talk about unemployment, right? We know that unemployment is at a record lowest. And when we talk about the investments in HBCUs in this country, when we think about the amount of jobs that have been created, the increase in Pell Grants, so people who grew up in the same zip code as me, 53206, has the opportunity to go to college without having to fork over resources out of their own pocket. And so as I look at this upcoming election, we know that it's going to be Donald Trump and it's going to be President Biden. And when I look at the totality of what Biden just haven't even done in 1 year, just as far as jobs, has done more than what President Trump did while he was in office.
It's even laughable right now because Donald Trump is taking credit for the current economy. But the first thing he said when he left office was, everything's gonna tank. It's gonna go in the toilet. Y'all getting ready to be suffering, scorched earth. The world is coming to an end. None of that happened.
None of it happened.
None of that happened. In fact, we've excelled and continue to do well. Those numbers, have been consistent. But I also think about like the work that's been done to aid Black farmers who have been for years, being disenfranchised, not treated fairly when it came to funding loans for farmers. I think about what they did for land grant colleges, predominantly HBCUs, and how states had not been giving them their fair share.
Absolutely.
And the administration is stepping in saying like, no, y'all need to make this right, man.
And then you get MAGA Republicans who come in and try to undo all the work, who try to become and stick forks in the road to stop this types of progress that is happening at the federal level. Now, let's be very clear. People think that, you want to talk about Biden being old. People want to say, well, he can't talk. And it's just like, there's some folks out here that are bright. And when and many folks, one, I tell folks all the time, if you ain't never read from a teleprompter, don't come in here and talk to me about, because it's not that easy. My God. Right? And if you know President Biden, he doesn't just read all of his lines. He's going back and forth between his teleprompter and giving real life experiences because he's a he's a person that actually wants to be in the thick of things with the people that he represents.
Because you're about to say retail politics.
I was going to say retail
politics, just so people, because I don't want people to hear you say he's a retail. So tell people what you mean by
retail politics means that he's that guy that wants to go into the room and talk to everybody.
He's in the diner. He's literally on the strip mall, in and out of each little business in each store talking to folks.
And I've been in places with the president, and it has taken us a while to get out.
To say. I've been in places with the president.
I have.
young brother who was like,
I've learned from this man, and he has a plethora of knowledge, but also we also have to think about the amount of appointments and positions that he has the ability to put people in. And when I think about city of Milwaukee County, I know that I can give a call to this White House administration and they'll pick up the phone and say, what do you need? And I think people forget that I was also county executive under the Trump's administration. I didn't have that same type of relationship.
I forgot.
Yeah. That. So we can talk about the stark differences, particularly from the county's perspective of as far as my first 2 years, my first year being in office under President Trump's administration, and the last 3 years under President Biden's administration. We have been able to do much more under this administration than we have ever been able to see in past history.
And that was the thing, as I've been trying to talk, it's just like, bros, when we're thinking about the totality of it all, how does this presidency impact your children?
Yes.
So when you talked about, or when we talk about the effort to reduce poverty, and so these, tax plans where you got the money on the front end.
Right.
Terms, instead of waiting for now it's January, you can file for your taxes, get that big refund check. No, we're gonna make sure you got money in your mailbox all year long. And they talked about how many kids got lifted up out of poverty by that additional $300-400 per child coming into that household. The difference it made, daycare costs.
Oh, absolutely.
And what's being done on that, and then on the back end, healthcare. How many of our people in our community use insulin?
Oh, a lot.
And you talking about, we're going to cap it at $35 and forcing people to have to respond to that. But that earned income tax credit, like all of that stuff has made a huge difference.
Absolutely. It has made a huge difference. And so, if I could encourage our community to do one thing, and, particularly with the fact that social media and the amount of information that is out there, we have become more susceptible to the propaganda that is out there, the lies, the disinformation, the misinformation that is out there. And so I just want to continue to encourage folks that when we see information, let's continue to do our research. Let's actually scrutinize some of the information that we're getting to make sure that it is the right information. It's information that's going to benefit our communities, because this is serious, y'all. Like, we talk about how every election is the most important election, but we've never seen the level of attacks on people of color. We've never seen this level of attacks on women's rights. We've never seen this level of attack on our democracy. We've never seen this level of attack coming from inside the system that we have seen under the Trump administration, because the whole idea for me that I see coming from his entire campaign is that he wants to be a dictatorship. He wants to get revenge. And when I
he
hear
said
that,
just for one day.
Well, hell, You can do a lot of damage in 24 hours.
just one day.
So
Just one day. I just want to tear up the state, the country. Just one day. I want to be,
and you can do a lot of damage in
you
one
really
day.
can.
You can do.
But
a
I mean,
lot
but
of
if you
damage.
looked at, like I said, I went back and looked at his budget priorities back in 2017 and what this man was talking about, eliminating. And people don't think about it. Your senior citizen mother benefiting from the weatherization program.
Right.
People still was talking about gutting the ACA. I just looked at another 20 million people signed up for the ACA recently.
Another record enrollment.
Another crazy record enrollment. But, we going to get rid of it. First it was something and replace. And then, now it's just get rid of it. You're not even trying to pretend you got an alternative plan for healthcare. But I even thought about something that the stuff that we don't really see or pay attention to, but everybody that talks about it knows that it's going on. Trying to stop people from discriminating against you when you are getting your home evaluated. For a purchase.
Yeah.
And that you actually had systemic things, in
Yeah.
place. So you got Marsha Fudge now and different people in the administration focused on there will be no discrimination under our watch in valuations of homes. Like, that's economic wealth. That's wealth building. That's money I get to pass on to my kids.
Absolutely.
Man. So, like I said, we got to continue to have these conversations.
You're going to see me a lot because this is going to be a very, very important for me. It's a very, very important for me because, I'm a husband. I'm also a father to 3 girls. And so when we talk about like women's rights, particularly, like that's something that's near and dear to me. And so when we talk about healthcare, when we talk about employment, when we talk about education, when we talk about the social determinants of health, all the things that help determine whether you're going to have positive or negative outcomes in our lives, we need to be focusing on those things.
We do. And I'm going to say something that's going to be a little janky. It's going to rub some brothers the wrong way. But when I thought about this thing that's coming on MSNBC and brothers are talking about how they have fared and, it was more, black male focused. One of the first things I thought about my grandfather. I thought about my daddy. I thought about my son, because these are black men that understand. I'm sorry, bruh. While you should get the big piece of chicken, you are focused on making sure that everybody in your family is eating.
Absolutely.
You making sure,
Absolutely.
you got that janky tie. Or whatever they gave you for Christmas, but you made sure that Christmas came for everybody in your family.
Absolutely.
Like, bruhs, it's a thankless job sometimes. But one of the roles of being men is to make sure that the community and your family is taken care of in addition to what you need for yourself. Because I'm not saying put yourself last and you shouldn't, expect to get things.
But you got to take care of responsibility.
But, I just think about my granddaddy. My granddaddy would go hungry to make sure that all of us ate. Yeah. And it's an unenviable position.
My father was one of 12 kids. And when I first got involved in politics and I started knocking on doors, many people, once they see my last name, was like, Crowley, are you part of that big family used to grow up on Clark? Yes, that's my family that was on 2nd and Clark. That was my grandma that was cooking in the Catholic school's cafeteria. And the one thing that kept telling me, the one thing that they knew about my family was, man, the men in y'all family, they work. They will put in the work. And I learned that from my grandfather, from my uncles, from my father, that they were willing to sacrifice themselves to make sure that we were okay.
Well, on that, we will continue this conversation. Thank you so much, sir. I know your schedule is crazy, but you make time for this radio station and for this constituency. It's appreciated. So we will talk to you later, Mr. Smell Good.
And again, happy Carter G. Wilson Day.
All right, y'all. All right, family, I got to get out the way. It's Thursday. Y'all know I end my show early. King, appreciate you, bruh. Young Carvey. Find out what Brute Fabergé is, boy.
Hey, and Michelle.
Yes.
A rider comes with that.
Y'all taking me to the movies, y'all. All right, y'all. Peace. Have a safe weekend.